when we think of outreach, you cannot expect your clientele and your faculty, your students to come to the building anymore.
Right.
You have to reach out with your services.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, as I showed with some of the statistics today, that obviously has gone down dramatically. And so we need this whole concept of embedded librarians. Mm-hmm. We need to get out of our offices. In fact, it's better if we don't have offices, or if we have the offices, mm-hmm. they're there just for our scholarly portion, mm-hmm. or for when we need to get work done. But we cannot be sitting in our offices consulting. I think we're making a transition away from that. I'm hoping that we are, mm-hmm. because we do there's still students who enjoy that type of, mm-hmm. but then the majority of them are used to pulling up their handheld, asking a question to somebody, to a friend. In fact, one of the interesting things we found out at Valparaiso University was that one of our library students who had gotten a good reputation while she was there, then went on to graduate school somewhere else. She was getting questions from her former students at our university rather than them coming to the librarians for help. Because they trusted her and because she was their age, all of these types of things. So you see, we need to be where they are. So one of the things we're experimenting with, we have 2 library interns coming in this semester. Instead of setting them at the reference desk or having them do instruction, we're actually letting them be our experimenters in the library. And we're sending them out of the library. We're putting them in the union during the rush periods of time with a sign that says, "I'm here to help. Any questions for the library?" We're sending them out into the dorms. We're sending them to the cafeterias during rush hour. We're sending them anywhere but the library to see if we can get a response from people outside. We've got a new faculty building that's going up right next to the library. When it opens, it's going to have a tunnel. We want to make that event a premier event because this is a unique opportunity for faculty members who are going to be right next to the library now. They're coming from a number of different buildings on campus to be right next to the library. We want them in the library. So how can we do that? So we're talking about things like seminar series, both in the library and in the building, in different locations during their time, or helping their students in their lounges over there rather than having them come over here. So we really need to get out of this concept of the library as the place where we are, because that's not, people aren't coming there. We need to go to them with their needs and also use the devices they use. And yes, that's very uncomfortable. It's very new for us, but you know, this is a survival game.
It's kind of like an untethered librarian.
Yeah, there you go.
One thing that in your book that I was looking for my notes because I've made a bunch of notes on one of your books, but one thing that, and this had to be, was even getting out of your office and going to other parts of the library. You know, it's like catalogers or tech services people going and working in circulation to see how they do things. That's something that I'm not quite sure how to bring about, but you know, I think that both cataloging and circulation, for example, and even special collections, if people could see what, I mean, I'm as bad as the next person. I'm not saying I'm perfect at all, but if we had the time to think about, you know, to look at what people do and see how we can enrich it, or you know.
Well, I think as you were talking, I was thinking one of the ways. I mean, obviously, when we talk about going out of the building, we're oftentimes talking about reference librarians who bring information services out. Catalogers and technical services librarians oftentimes will participate or be library liaisons to departments in terms of collection development and so on. There possibly could be a role for them at least to go out occasionally and talk to their departments that they're responsible for working. Have you seen any of that kind of thing going on? That
can happen in a tenure environment. It doesn't happen too much unless you have a technical services librarian who has more than one degree, and you use that because you're short of staff. Is technical services staff as consultants to faculty with their data needs. One of the big issues we have right now in academic libraries is this whole born digital research. We've got new mandates from the government for the National Institute of Health and for the National Science Foundation, and soon many of the other government agencies that grant writers have to produce a data management plan. This is a unique opportunity for libraries to have a long-term interest in digital data. If we do not jump at this opportunity, we will be left out in the future. Most institutions do not have any type of plan whatsoever for digital materials. and nor should they, because the library should be taking
Mm-hmm.
the lead on that. And if they haven't, then they need to jump on the boat right now. So I think that technical services is an excellent place to have these type of consultants who are dealing with data sets, or helping the faculty to write these data management plans. They're just 2 pages long,
Mm-hmm.
and in fact, there's a free template that you can get from the University of California system to help them fill in, or we can fill it in for them. We need to kind of adapt those types of models, and then we need to get out. I mean, they need to get out. For instance, there are a number of projects going on. Many faculty have grants that involve data. Either it's in TEI or it's in their metadata that's not MARC, but then they want to include it in the catalog, or they want to include it in our discovery systems. So our technical services people are the obvious choices because they understand data. They should be the consultants with the faculty to do this type of work. And in fact, many of them have to convert their metadata into MARC for some of these grants, like Library of Congress, or especially the British Library writes into their grants that you can do this in any metadata standard, but you also have to convert it to MARC so that we can present it online. So for instance, when I was at UCSB, we had the early broadside ballad project, which was an NEH grant, and that was through the British Library, and they were doing TEI markup of these and digitization of these British ballads in the English department. But they came to us for assistance. Now, you want to look for these opportunities, but sometimes they'll knock on your door, which is good. But they needed to convert their TEI to MARC because that's what was part of their contract with the British Library. So we had an excellent opportunity then to start that consultation with them, and now we're part of their team. So they got another NEH grant because of that, because they did such a good job of including us in and doing this conversion, that then they got more money to do more of the work that they wanted to do. So we need to jump on those types of opportunities.